Today, West Asia stands at a decisive diplomatic crossroads. After months of conflict, disruption in the Gulf and the fear of a wider regional war, the United States and Iran have moved ahead with a memorandum of understanding. But the big question here is, does this MoU bring peace or does it give Iran breathing space? For Israel, the stakes are existential. Tehran's nuclear ambitions, its missile program, and its network of proxies from Hezbollah to Houthis remain at the heart of Israel's security concerns. Even as Washington speaks of diplomacy and de-escalation, Israel is asking whether any deal with Iran can be trusted without firm guarantees, strict verification, and consequences for violation. India too is watching closely. Millions of Indians live and work in the Gulf. Energy routes through Hormuz matter to Indian households, Indian industry, and Indian security. A war in West Asia is never just a regional war. It hits oil, trade, shipping, diaspora, safety, and global stability. So in this exclusive one-to-one conversation, we go straight to the Israeli position. Joining us now is Reuven Azar, Israel's ambassador to India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining me. And let me begin by asking you, sir, has this MoU empowered Iran or has it created conditions for broad regional stability?
Well, first of all, Kartikeya, militarily, there's no doubt that we had an amazing victory here because we've been able to remove two existential threats that were looming immediately on our country. The military nuclear threat, the Iranians were weeks away from breakout to a nuclear weapon. We removed that, and now the breakout time has gone up for more than 2 years. And when it comes to the ballistic missile threat, we have completely destroyed their industry. They will have to build it again. In addition to that, we have defeated their armies in Gaza, in Lebanon. You still have Hezbollah operating there, but it's much weaker. Therefore, now we are at a diplomatic stage, and here there are gaps, no doubt, that are concerns when it comes to at least two issues. The issue of ballistic missiles and the proxies are not in the Memorandum of Understanding. And when it comes to the military nuclear threat, we'll have to see what the negotiations bring. And therefore, Israel will stay alert. We will continue maintaining our right for self-defense, especially right now in South Lebanon. The MoU doesn't require Israel to withdraw. We are negotiating peace with the Lebanese government. And in that negotiations, we're going to allow the Lebanese army to, in a kind of a pilot project, to try to start taking chunks of South Lebanon clean from Hezbollah presence. If that succeeds, then we'll be able to withdraw, but only then, and not under the Tehran terms, but under the agreement we will have with the Lebanese government.
But what is the guarantee that Iran is not going to fund Hezbollah? Because the MoU in its draft says that Iran must desist from funding the proxies.
Well, that's a challenge. I think that if Iran uses the money that is going to be, by the way, a very limited release at the first stage, because Iran has suffered losses of more than $1 trillion. And even if they get a few dozens of billions now, they will have to decide whether to divert it to their own people that are suffocating under the oppression of this regime, or to try to rebuild this machinery of aggression and weapons of mass destruction. It remains to be seen, but meanwhile, Israel will continue to exercise its right for self-defense.
I was going through the Memorandum of Understanding, Ambassador, and I was surprised to find that not only $300 billion will be given, but there is no mechanism to overlook whether this will be spent on hybrid, civil, military, that's one. Secondly, the sort of money that is going to be defreezed is not little. It is somewhere between $127 billion to $167 billion. And a lot of mainstream Western newspapers have reported that's more than $450 billion. So what is who takes the guarantee where this money is going to be spent?
Well, first of all, it depends how you read this. Because President Trump has said yesterday that the United States is not going to put even 10 cents into this fund. And this fund is going to be completely voluntary. And by the way, is pending on reaching a final deal. So the memorandum states very clearly that in the meantime, temporarily, some of the restrictions will be removed and as to how much money Iran will get from that, it remains to be seen.
Okay.
At this time, we are in a situation in which Iran's military is devastated, and they are thirsty for these funds. We'll have to see how they use it. At the end of the day, as I told you, Israel has the economic capability now, because our economy is very robust. We have $700 billion GDP, and the Prime Minister just stated only 2 days ago that we're going to invest more than $100 billion in the upgrade of our security forces. So we will be able in the future to cope with the threats coming from Iran. And now we have proved to this regime that they are vulnerable and they are exposed.
Okay, coming to the issue of nuclear weapons, and I'll compare it with what was written when JCPOA was signed. Iran will not develop nuclear weapons, but it does not preclude, sir, the ambition of becoming a nuclear power for Iran. And in JCPOA, Iran said, the earlier draft, that under no circumstances will Iran ever seek, develop or acquire nuclear weapons. A lot of critics are saying that the words should have been stronger. This is a big concession given by Americans.
Well, first of all, the JCPOA, unfortunately, gave a secure path to Iran to develop industrialized enrichment apparatus that would allow it eventually, when the sunsets of the agreement come, to sneak out to a nuclear arsenal of at least 200 or 300 bombs. And we knew that this is very dangerous for Israel, and therefore we fought against that agreement. Now we have a situation in which, first of all, there is a military, very credible military threat against Iran, and we have proved Iran that we can hit it. Number two, this is a temporary memorandum, and therefore you cannot compare a temporary memorandum with a final agreement that was reached more than a decade ago. Okay. It remains to be seen. Israel, look, we have challenges here, there's no doubt, because this memorandum of understanding doesn't include things that we would wish it includes. However, we will continue our dialogue with the United States, with our partners. This president has been doing for Israel a lot. We appreciate that. And we will try to bridge these gaps in order to make sure that eventually Iran, all the ways of Iran to a nuclear capability will be blocked, because Iran has been cheating the world. And we don't believe their statements. We need to have the mechanisms to verify that they don't have a nuclear capability.
You see, my issue with this MOU is people generally see it from the context of Israel, America, and Iran. But this memorandum of understanding, as I think, has taken the world for a ride. That's my understanding. For example, what the Americans have done is no tax for 60 days, but allows Iran and Oman to tax ships later. Iran now ends up with a revenue stream. I mean to say...
No, I think that you are misreading it. First of all, you can read it from the statement of the G7, that no country is going to allow tolling. What the Memorandum of Understanding says is that Iran and Oman and other countries may decide that they want to provide services to, shipping. And it's up to the countries to decide whether they want to get their services. But under no circumstances, international law is going to change. This is a free passage for navigation under international law. It has to remain a free passage. And, imagine if, Spain, Morocco, and Britain would decide that they want to block the Gibraltar Strait.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to agree to that. This is customary law for centuries now, and this regime won't be able to change that. What they are trying to do is to sell this deal to their people as a good deal, as a victory. But the people of Iran know very well, Kartikeya, that Iran was defeated militarily, and they know very well that the resources of this country have been diverted from the purpose that was supposed to serve the Iranian people to this machinery of aggression. This regime is not becoming more popular, but they are desperately trying to market it as a victory, and many outlets around the world are helping it